Alrighty, so today you will need the ecosystems and a biome assignment. We are going to start our project today. There are some announcements. Your quiz opened yesterday. It is due on Tuesday, so you have the whole weekend as well as Monday and Tuesday to take your quiz before it will go in the grade book as a 0 if you do not take it. Um, as far as our ecosystem project, we're going to spend time today talking about that. So that way you can know all of your requirements and what you need to do with that project. It will be due a week from today. So on November the 29th. We have school today, Monday and Tuesday, but then we are out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can really get your project done before we get out of school on Tuesday, but in the event that you don't, because you might have some other stuff going on, just know that it needs to be submitted by Friday because Friday is when the zeros will go in. We have an update on assignment due dates. We were informed today that all assignments for the quarter have to be done by December the 18th. So all of the assignments that are in Canvas, the lock dates will change to December the 18th because that is when all of them are going to be due. Does anybody have questions about any of those new announcements? All right, not seeing questions pop up. If you do have questions, just put in the chat box. So we are going to head over to Canvas and we are going to go to modules. And then we're going to go down to today's assignment, which is our ecosystems in a biome project. All right, so what we are going to do, we have a formal project. It is worth 200 points. And as you see, it is due next week on the 27th, so a week from today. What we are going to do, we're going to apply what we've learned in our unit so far to answer stuff about this project by creating a presentation about a biome of your choosing. So you will get to choose which biome you decide. It does have two parts. So for part one, we are going to create a Google Slides presentation that is going to describe the roles of different organisms within the ecosystem that you choose. Make sure that all of the organisms that you choose actually come from the same ecosystem in the same region. And what I mean by that is we know that there are 7 different terrestrial biomes, but they are located in different parts of the world. So if you choose to do, say, the savanna, which is in this area and this area here, as well as on the outskirts. Make sure that when you choose the animals that is going to go in your savanna, if you choose the savanna that's in Africa, that you are choosing African animals. Or if you're choosing the animals in Australia, that you're choosing Australian animals, because you can't necessarily say that the Australian animals are part of the ecosystem or the food chain that is happening in Africa, because they may have very different animals and food chains in those areas. So make sure you pay attention to that as you go through. We are going to look at with your requirements for your project. You get to research your chosen ecosystem within our 7 terrestrial biomes. You can choose which one you want to between the rainforest, the temperate deciduous forest, the taiga, tundra, grassland, savanna, or desert. Pick whichever one you want to do. You are going to use this template that has been provided so that you can make sure you have all of the information in it that you need, as well as including these real world examples of the animals and the relationships that they have with other organisms in their ecosystem. We are looking for those 3 symbiotic relationships, which are parasitism, commensalism, and mutualism, as well as a predator-prey relationship. You will also explore how those 3 biogeochemical cycles that we learned about yesterday affect your specific ecosystem. So the water cycle, the nitrogen cycle, as well as the carbon cycle, and how it affects the specific biome that you are studying. You are also going to look at how the human impacts effects of things that humans are doing are impacting or affecting your particular ecosystem. We're looking for both the good things, the positive, and the negative. And then lastly, you are going to answer the 2 reflection questions that are on the template. Part 2 involves you actually making a food web. If you decide that you want to make a food web, not if you want to, you have to make one. But you have 2 options for the way that you decide that you want to make it. So you can either draw it by hand, or you can make a digital version of it. But you will be creating a food web with the 11 organisms that will be in your project. So you will, well, let me show you an example first, and then it'll make more sense. So at the bottom of the page, you will see this presentation. This is an example that I created for the aquatic ecosystem, because like I said, you guys will be doing the terrestrial ones, so the land ecosystems. So I did this one on the oceans, so you would have a example to go by. So what you are going to do, you start off with a lovely home screen, or a on your slide, so that way you can kind of explain what you're talking about. And then we are going to go to the things that are in the template. So with this one, I just wanted to show you the different types of aquatic ecosystems. We have freshwater systems as well as saltwater systems, but this presentation is mainly going to be about our saltwater systems. So the first thing you have to do is identify the biotic and the abiotic factors within your ecosystem. I chose for biotic fish, sharks, whales, coral, or seaweed. For the abiotic factors, I chose temperature, sunlight, salinity, dissolved oxygen, and nutrients, because those are all non-living things, but they definitely impact our oceans. Next, you have to identify 3 producers within your ecosystem. So our producers that I chose were the coral reefs, the kelp forests, and phytoplankton. You also will have to describe the habitat as well as the niche of each of those individual organisms. So our coral reefs are going to be in the photic layer of the ocean. Our kelp forests are also in the photic layer, as well as our phytoplankton that is also in the photic layer. If you remember, we talked about how ocean plants, they need to be in the photic layer so that they still have access to light from the sun, so they can actually go through photosynthesis. So that's why all of them are there. The niches, remember, are their purpose in the ecosystem and what they do. So our coral reefs, they give oxygen and they also absorb carbon dioxide. The kelp forest provides food and shelter for a whole bunch of different organisms. And our phytoplankton are going to be a food source. They provide oxygen and they remove carbon dioxide from our oceans. So next, we do the same thing for our consumers. I have my zooplankton, my sea urchins, my parrotfish, and my vent crab. I listed them here, as well as described their habitats and their niches and what their purpose is within that ecosystem. And then finally, you go to the higher level consumers. I have a sea otter and I have a reef shark, and all of these are connected to each other in pretty much the same biome and habitat area. I kind of focused on the coral reef area just so I can make them all connect. So our habitats have been explained, as well as the niches. What is their purpose? Our sea otters are there to regulate the amount of sea urchins because they eat them. And then our reef shark maintains the population of consumers on lower levels. There we go. Because they eat them. You also on this side have to identify if it is going to be a carnivore or if it's an omnivore. And remember, omnivores eat both plants and animals, whereas carnivores only eat animals. Next, we're going to move on to our decomposers, and these are, I use a bat starfish and a sea slug. In their different areas, I listed their habitat as well as their job or role in their niches within that habitat. So then our next set of slides, you have to explore the symbiotic relationships in your ecosystem. So for parasitism, I chose isopod and reef fish. I also explained what their relationship is. And then with mutualism, we already talked about clownfish and sea anemones, and that is their relationship. Commensalism, I have a whale and some barnacles, and I explained their relationship. And then my predator-prey relationship, I chose orca and just different sea life. They eat sharks, seals, sea lions, dolphins, all kinds of other whales. They just eat whatever they want to. They are considered the apex predator of the ocean. So um, that is what I chose for that particular slide. Next, we are going to explore the cycles in the marine ecosystem. Now, with this one, I need you to pay attention to what I actually wrote. I explained how the water cycle actually interacts with the ocean. It talks about how a lot of evaporation comes from the ocean, and how the salinity rises based off of how much is being evaporated, but that the water is put back in because of fresh water coming into there, usually through an estuary. You have precipitation that comes from the rain that replenishes it, as well as melting ice and snow that helps replenish the fresh water and mixes back in with the salt water. So I definitely explained how the water cycle plays its role in with the ocean. Same with the nitrogen cycle. It has a specific amount of nitrogen that's there, and then it explains how it's important for our certain organisms to serve as an energy source for marine bacteria to do to grow and kind of do what it needs to do. And then the carbon cycle, I explained how photosynthesis takes place and how carbon is used by certain animals to make shells or skeletons, as well as how it reacts and goes through that process with photosynthesis. So when you do this particular slide, you need to figure out how these three cycles actually interact with the environment that you are choosing to study. Next, we have our human impact on your ecosystem. For my negative impacts, I chose the Great Pacific Garbage Patch because there really is a big patch of just trash that's in the ocean that's just kind of floating around. It kind of there's actually quite a few of them that it just kind of congregates in one specific area. We also have chemical pollution. We have oil spills that's going on over here. We also have overfishing, which is was depleting some of our fish supplies in certain areas, and then we have deep sea mining that was causing problems. Positive impacts that happens from humans, because there's a bunch of mess in the ocean. A lot of habitat restoration efforts have happened. So if you look at this at the beginning, how it looks kind of dead and doesn't look like a lot of life is there, but then at the bottom, a lot of the coral and the sea life have come back because of the efforts of humans trying to actually clean up that area. We also have a sustainable fishing partnership that's going on in a lot of places, and it just regulates the amount of fish that can be fished out of the ocean at a specific time. This is just so that the fish population has a chance to regrow, regenerate after people, fish and eat them and all the rest of that. You still need a certain number of fish to be left over so that they can create more fish, or you will eventually run out. So those are my positive impacts for that. And then the next thing we have to do is that food web that I was discussing. If you choose to draw it, then you would draw it like this, take a picture of it, and then insert it into your final slide as a food web. If you would like to make the digital version of that, I will show you what that could look like in just a moment so you can see the possibilities of what that could possibly look like. There is a video that I just made. I'm about to upload it, and I will also put it in on this assignment. So if you would like to make the digital food web and you're not exactly sure how to make it, the video will be linked so that you can go in, watch it if that's what you decide to do, and actually make yours digitally. And then the last slide on there asked, these are your reflection questions. Why did you choose the biome? As well as if you could be any organism within the ecosystem, which would you be? The reason why I made this was to provide an example for you guys. And plus, I like the ocean. You guys know I love the beach. And then my favorite organism in this ecosystem, which I did not add in this presentation because I was focusing more on coral reefs, is an octopus. I think they are so pretty. They come in so many different colors. I love the fact that they are fast in the ocean and can evade predators. They have some real cool defense mechanisms. Some of them can ink and get away from other predators. And I was watching this one video where some fishermen caught an octopus, and then it was on the deck of the ship and actually managed to squeeze through this really, really small opening and actually get out of it, because it doesn't really have like hard bones like most animals or a lot of fish do. And so I just find them interesting and fascinating. So I like octopuses. So that's what I went with that. And so that is pretty much what your project could end up looking like, but related to your personal biome. So with those food web drawings, like I said, you could choose to draw them. Make sure you have the pictures labeled. Notice how there's the arrows that show what eats what, and you do have to identify what the name of the actual organism is, and you draw the arrows to show what is being eaten by the different organisms. If you choose to do it digitally, if you click here, it will take you to a template for a Google drawing. That This is the one that I started creating based off of the example that I made. So this is the beginnings of it. I haven't quite finished it, but this is what it very well could look like. So if you notice, I've literally copied and pasted the pictures that were in my presentation, and I typed the names in the boxes. If you want to make a text box, all you have to do is just go up here, draw a text box, make it whatever color you want it to be, and then put it in put it in there. But I put the names at the bottoms, and then I've already added arrows over here for you. If you want to change the color of your arrows because you don't like the color, that's perfectly fine. But all you do after you put your pictures is you just kind of drag it over to where you need it to go. If you want to tilt it, this little circle that's at the top, if you click it and tilt it, then it will change the direction of the arrow. But you notice how part of the words have gone behind the picture. If you right click it and then click order and then click bring to front, it'll put the picture in front of the other one that you have. So you can also say, for instance, I wanted my arrows that Miss Hewing made me only go one direction, but I needed to go that direction. First, I need to put it on top of my pictures, but then I can also right click it and then go to rotate and have it flip horizontally, and it'll change. My wording won't be backwards or anything like that, but it'll flip the direction of my arrow. So you can do it that way. But if you click on this example right here, it'll literally tell you to make a copy of it, and your example will be right there and ready to go, so that you have a working copy and a blank template that shows you exactly what you need to it gives you the space that you need to actually create your food web, if that's what you would like to do. All right, so those are the instructions for your project. You have all of the class time today to work on it, as well as class time on Monday and Tuesday to work on it. You are not receiving anything new that you need to do over the break or anything like that. This is the last thing that will be assigned until we come back from Thanksgiving. So you literally have the time to work on it. If you're watching this video and you have questions, please send me a message to my Canvas inbox and I will answer them for you. Have a good day.